Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
For the Loft 100 Studios, it is the Big Biz Show. Wherever you are, wherever you're listening, we are so thankful that you are along for the ride. Costa, Mary Bert Godwin, Greg Todorov, and Captain Finance.
How are you, Captain?
I'm good, man. How are
Captain.
you?
Good. Excellent stuff. Did you hear sad news in your corner of the world? Pete Rose died. Never made it to the Hall of Fame. The best catcher probably in the history of the game, other than JT Realmuto on the Phillies.
Wait, third baseman.
Third baseman.
I beg your pardon, third baseman.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon, biggest third baseman. The reason I got confused on the catcher thing is because you ever see that old video of him sliding face first on plate and then just screaming his head off at the catcher who...
Ray Fosse, I think.
Yeah, it was.
It was an all-star game.
It was an all-star game. It was supposed to be a friendly game.
And Fosse was never the same.
It was never.
After.
I don't even think Fosse had the ball.
He took him
I think it was something like crazy like that.
Took him out.
Took him out.
Yeah.
So we lose Joe. Or we lose Pete Rose.
We do.
Joe Baseball, as he was many times called back in the 70s. And,
Charlie Hustle.
Charlie Hustle.
Charlie Hustle.
Yep.
But we still have Crookie. We still have Crook. John Crook. So
Synonymous with each other.
you had a Yogi Berra. And you had a Pete Rose,
Right?
And I'm not talking about I'm just talking about the guys that still have a wad of chew in their mouth and they walk around and they still look like they play baseball. And the guy's 55 years old.
Yeah. Pete either had a flat top or a bowl cut.
Bowl cut.
The bowl cut is
Dutch
very
boy.
important.
He was the man who invented the face first slide.
Yeah.
Right.
I believe he was the first one, right, Mike?
Yep.
But he didn't just. I mean, he Superman.
Yeah.
Touched down and then slid in.
Yeah.
Charlie, there was
Every
a
time he
reason.
finished a sliding in a base, he ended up on his knees touching the base because he'd
be hanging over
the base.
trying to hold on.
Hey, Howie Font here, our puncturepreneur, is in place, otherwise known as Crash. What's up, buddy? What's the weather like in New York, Howie?
It's cooling off. It's getting a little brisk.
So is this your time of year that you like New York, because you haven't been outside since about May?
Well, that's just because you keep me on the move. But no, this is starting to be the best time of year. You're right.
Hey, I understand that the International Longshoremen Association, this is important, which represents port workers, and of course we have several ports of call where all of, like in other words, Port of Los Angeles in Long Beach, California, is where we get most of our goods from the east, including cars and so on and so forth. But the whole negotiations broke down, and that's going to affect all of us. Talk about it for a minute.
Yeah, so this has been happening all summer. It's very routine. These contracts have negotiation periods installed in them, and they just weren't able to come to an agreement. The average longshoreman, depending on how long they've been in their position, depends on seniority, but on average they make from $150K to $250. They wanted raises over the next 6 years, kind of their normal negotiating position, and the ports have said it just costs too much.
Wait a second. If they're on strike at that much money, with salaries as well as goods and services, what does that cost us per day as a country or as a society in terms of lost productivity?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, JP Morgan estimates are this is daily, 3.8 to 4.5 billion dollars to the economy.
gosh.
3.8 to 4.5 billion dollars per day.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Are Funyuns made in America?
No, they're not.
Here's the thing.
No, don't ask yet, because we're going to go to break. I know a question you're going to ask.
Okay.
Hold on to it. By the way, Howie, before you go to a break, what was that number you gave us if we had each made $500,000 since the pyramids of Giza every single day to this day? What's the fact now?
It wouldn't be half of a year's spend of the federal government.
Wow.
If we each made $500,000 per day, the federal government in what period of time? The last quarter?
In the first 6 months of this year, you wouldn't have spent the money that we spent in 6 months.
Wow.
If you had $500,000 every day from now to all the way back to the pyramids being built.
Greatest country in the world.
Isn't that a fun fact?
27th in education. Number one in spending. We're back in a sec. Howie, stay like that. We'll see you in a minute.
In over 175 countries, all the ships at sea on the American Forces Network. As always, to the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces, thank you for what you do, what you've done for us. It is the Big Biz Show from the Loft 100 Studios. The handsome guy talking, well, my name's Costa. That's Mary Godwin. That's an even more handsome guy, Greg
What happened
Todorov.
to the mic?
And the most handsomest of all,
Michael.
Sully.
So for the rest of the
Excellent
day,
taste in men, young
for the rest
man.
of the day, I want you on this mic.
You got it.
Or speak of mics.
It matches your.
Yeah, very good. Hey, we're also in 125 million broadcast homes in the U.S., and not to mention El Financiero, Bloomberg, and we're going to be on Bloomberg EU here at the end of November. That has been locked and loaded. Back to Howie Font talking to us about the fact that the Longshoremen's Association talks have broken down with the Maritime Alliance, and that's costing us just a paltry $3.8 to $4.5 billion per day. It begs to ask a question, doesn't it?
Pocket change.
Yes. Well, I'm foreseeing, a traffic jam of sorts, and what is this going to lead to? And I want to know when my Amazon purchases are going to get to me. That's what I really want to know.
Well, I mean,
I'm really worried about this.
This is the world's worst traffic jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we talk about this, people ask, what is actually on these big barges? Well, a lot of it's food. We are big exporters of food, so most of our soybean crops are going out. A lot of the cherries that we bring in, avocados, it's going to dry up store shelves for sure. Walmart, IKEA, Home Depot, Amazon, all emptied out. I mean, this happened a little bit in 2021, post-pandemic, when the economy kind of roared back.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen in a much bigger way if this strike continues.
Who are the biggest? Who are the biggest businesses? Amazon obviously is one of them. Of course, General Mills, who makes Funyuns for Mike, and Bako, he's crying, and Bako Bits, obviously. But who are the biggest? Who are the biggest issues here? Because I'm looking at stocks of companies like Home Depot, and companies like IKEA. Right? Is that we should be looking at here?
Of course, yeah. No, I mean, things that take volume to ship, Funyuns, Mike, gladly are small. So it only takes 1 or 2 shipments to fill the stores up. But if you think about Walmart, IKEA, and Home Depot, those are substantially sized goods, and that's going to matter.
Howie,
sized goods. You ever still shop at Eagleson's Big and Tall there, Mike? Or?
No, I've stopped. Howie, thank God Christmas isn't right around the corner. So this won't affect it at all. Seriously, what is that going to do for all of these retailers? Is it you better get your butt in there now and grab it?
Well, it's going to force me to go back to my old slogan and harp on inflation, because this could reignite inflation. But you're exactly right.
Wait. Could it really reignite inflation, Howie?
Yeah.
Like get it started up again? Okay.
If there's a lack of supply, what's that going to do?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But to Mike's point, yeah, everything that is going to be available for Christmas has to get here by Halloween. That's the traditional rule. It's a little bit earlier than that now, actually.
I want to ask a question quickly about the International Longshoremen Association, because it is such a lagging industry because of the lack of automation. I mean, I think they're still dealing with Rolodexes and 8-track tape players there. I mean, I'm not kidding. I mean, if you, and it's because they're afraid that you're going to get robocopped. That's a new term. You know what robocopped is?
Yep.
It means that you're going to lose your job to intelligence. Is that something that is also getting in the way? Because to your point, if we've got a supply problem, and to Mike's point, we got Christmas, now we got a demand problem, and that's going to cause price increase. You're absolutely right. Talk about the ILA.
Yeah. So the ILA is notorious for this.
They didn't even want shipping containers, by the way. They didn't want them all.
The standardized. Yeah. They're 20-foot equivalent units, they're called, and we see them all the time. And you send the same shipping container on a shipping container, on trucks, on train, and it just makes the whole process a lot easier. They were against that. There are a lot of automative, big industrial tools that have tried to be developed and are used in China, for example, but cannot be used here because the unions are protecting their workers' jobs.
Because they're metric.
Exactly. How you mentioned China. How is this going to affect?
You mean China?
Excuse me, China.
China.
How does this affect goods and services
You just did a
worldwide?
Trump impersonation.
Yeah, it's going to be a big deal. It's actually a little scary for China. We don't get our consumer goods, which is, not good for our economy.
Well, what about antibiotics? Not like, what is it? Like 95% of antibiotics are made in China?
China.
Yeah,
Jeddah.
That is probably the worst thing that we're going to have to deal with, Sully. You're absolutely right to point that out. But for China, it's food. I mean, we send a lot of our soy to them. They get a lot of our grain from us, meat from Australia, and from us secondarily. I mean, so food prices there will skyrocket.
So you're saying that this is going to be more meaningful than the actor strike?
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I mean,
No
by
more
the way,
superhero movies. Hey, Howie, how long is too long, by the way? How long is too long? Like, because these things happen every so often, but when does the shoe drop here? I mean, you're talking about it, because let's face it, remember Black Friday was the day that people started Christmas shopping. It was usually the day after Thanksgiving. Now Black Friday starts sometime in February.
Like tomorrow.
After Valentine's Day.
Exactly.
What is this? No, but honestly, we are in the holiday season, guys. It's October. It's
sure.
October. We are in
Big
the
time.
last quarter of the year. We're literally, I got Christmas tree light guys pitching me, or Christmas light guys pitching me literally this morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
How long's too long, Howie?
listen, if we have a 2-week delay, we're going to feel the effects of this for half a year. I mean, to your point about the actors' strike, they struck for a month or two, and it delayed movies 18 months. So, and that industry can work faster than shipping and supply chains can fix themselves. So this could be a major problem if it continues.
But who's the real loser here?
people are serious.
Mike's not going to be able to go to availability to Bako Bits, Funyuns,
Exactly.
and Bugles.
Now I'm freaking out about it.
Well, at the very least, they're going to be more expensive. They're going to have to come over land from Mexico. And the Mexico Twinkies, I don't know, that factory is the same formula.
Hey, Howie, can we talk about why the economy is doing so well, yet and inflation seems to be getting tamed, but yet our prices from basic goods. I mean, overall, if you take a look at the 50,000 foot view, things are going the right direction, but we're still paying too much for stuff. It's not inflationary like it was, let's say, a year and a half ago. But is it just because we're used to it? The analogy I use is that, remember you guys are all clamoring about $3.50 gas. And now that inflation's coming to fruition here in the right direction, we're still paying $5 for gas. And now we're used to it.
We're numb to it.
Or numb to it would be a great way to put it. Yeah. So what do you take from that? Because you got these stock. It's a great analogy that the stock market is not the economy, because 50% of us participate in the stock market, 100% of us participate in the economy. But how can we have everything going in the right direction, but we're still paying $35 for lunch for two at a sandwich shop? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see that changing. I mean, notoriously in economics, prices are what's called sticky. That's the descriptor for them. And the only way to fix that is to kind of balance the forces that are at work. So if goods and services are more expensive and they've been pushed up, it's unlikely that businesses are going to want to bring those down at all. The only way to balance that out then is for wages to increase. So we're just adding a zero to the whole thing, to both sides of the equation. It's a little silly and it hurts.
It smells like stagflation to me, which is a little scary. Howie, thanks, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow. Speaking of sandwiches, speaking of sandwiches, Mike, you know the number one you know what the number one franchise in the world is now?
No.
You know the number one franchise?
Jersey Mike's?
Not in the world.
Oh.
In the U.S.
Okay.
Number one franchise in the U.S. forever and ever was Subway.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think the number one franchise is now? I'm going to say once again.
McDonald's?
Yes.
Yeah.
McDonald's.
It's back, huh?
The biggest purveyor of potatoes in the country, the biggest owner of real estate in the country, and as well as the biggest second biggest distributor of toys in the country.
Oh, of course.
Toys? Oh, of course.
For the meal deals.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
When is the last time you
I
went?
was at McDonald's yesterday.
Now, because you have kids, though.
2 days. Yeah, I mean, we didn't have a lot of time, and she's like, I just want some McDonald's.
Look at Mike's ducking. When's the last time you had McDonald's?
Oh,
you have little kids too.
Years.
But you don't take your kids there. Yeah. Mama don't buy that.
No.
Oh, come on.
Mama
You don't
don't.
take your kids.
Neither does Pop.
Mike is waiting for.
May have been Sunday during the football games.
Yeah, we were there Sunday.
DoorDash. Anyhow,
McDonald's?
Wait, this is how I feel about this. If I'm starving and I'm craving some really junky food, Yeah. Since I've got a. By the way, I have a guest. We have a guest. We have a guest coming here next week or the week after.
Really?
It's another dentist type thing.
Sure.
Not through Vivos, but it's a double chin.
Oh.
Killer.
Chin, that stuff called Chin Be Gone?
Chin
Love
Be
it.
Gone.
Be gone.
I'll use
Chin Be Gone.
use it.
If I'm an Instacart, why not Instacart a steak? Why Instacart?
You're right. That's a great point.
Because you go through fast food because I'm starving. I'll just get a Diet Coke and some French fries.
Well, can't you really count the 2 patties on a Big Mac chopped steak? So I kind of really did have to steak.
It's chopped something. All right. Much more to come. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. We'll see you in a second.
Everybody, hope you're having a great day. Thanks for being along for the ride. This ride is called The Big Biz Show. It's coming to you live from the Loft 100 studios in sunny Southern California. I'm Costa, the microphone in my hand.
Hold it like this.
Because he closed his eyes before he sings Blue Spanish Eyes.
Mary, please, I'm talking.
Yeah, Mary.
Mary Godwin.
Mary, quiet down. The men are talking.
Good Lord.
Again
Greg
with the
Todorov.
jokes.
And of course, Sully. I like that sweater, dude.
You like that?
Yeah.
Sam, do you hear what they do?
It's got a very military-ish kind of look to it. Is it a Travis Matthew or a Matheny? Or
It's a made in a hurry.
Yep.
I have no idea what it is, and
I like it.
What's interesting about it looks like a heavy sweater.
Yeah.
Mike's wife asked for a heavy sweater for Christmas, and look what showed up.
I like this stuff. This is good look.
The old heavy.
Clearly a heavy sweater. And we were talking about Pete Rose and the death of Pete Rose, and talking about Superman. Can I show you the latest Superman?
Sure.
Yeah.
Check this picture out here.
Oh.
That is Garrett Stubbs from the Philadelphia
course.
Phillies.
Look at that.
Bunt, lays down a bunt to first base.
Yep.
And hops over. I think it was they were playing the Cubs at that point. Was safe.
That's real, huh? I mean, obviously
that's
not the
real.
cape, but the hop over.
No, the cape was on. He was wearing the cape.
Yeah. The latest trend in baseball, Mary.
And that's, you know what,
I heard the change of the uniforms.
that's how you stay on a baseball team like the Phillies.
Right there.
Stuff like that.
Right there.
I think they're gonna win World Series this year.
They're so freaking good. Yeah, I've got them pegged to win it all, for sure.
There you go. Garrett Stubbs.
Who's that? The Phillies?
Yeah.
All right.
Aren't you putting together a sports show with Garrett Stubbs' brother, CJ Stubbs, for BizTV?
I heard we are. No, we are. We
What's it
actually
called?
are Offside Sports.
Offsides.
Yeah, Mr. Stubbs. CJ.
Speaking of Superman, there he is.
There he is.
I like
Troy
it.
Hazard, of course. Troy Hazard, not from America. From Australia, as Mike likes to say. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Of course, Troy Hazard is a keynote speaker. He's an entrepreneur. He is author of Future Proofing Your Business and The Naked Entrepreneur, which Rusty Nails said the cover of looks like a man blowing gas on a skateboard heading in one direction. It's the first thing. And Rusty Nails is also the guy who looked at Troy when Troy said, "Well, you have to pay your dues," and Russ said, "Did you say to pay?" And there's Roy Hazard. Hey. Last week,
For clarity, I am American too.
I know you. Actually, you are American. You're just not from America. Hey, listen, he does pay taxes. Finally,
Good.
Ferner. Troy's a good friend and business partner also. Hey, we started talking about last week when you were on the air with us that America has forgotten to sell. How to sell. Yeah. And you joined a global sales training business as chairman called SalesStar.com.
Yes.
And what you found out is that we have met the enemy, and it is us. We just don't know how to sell anymore. We talked about the fact that you get one shot at readiness and such. And we were talking about selling your business last week, and so I'm going to let you take over where we left off and give a little review of what we talked about last week, bud.
Well, where we started last week was a conversation around governance and getting your backyard in shape in relation to how you record things in your business, because most small business people don't. Even large business people don't. I've been working with companies with $50, $100 million revenue, and their governance is appalling. They don't have an advisory board. They don't have set meetings. They don't have minutes from those meetings. And as a result, there's no real recorded history. It's all hearsay, or it's the founders or owners' opinion of what happened in the past, as opposed to we sat down with our advisory board, we sat down with our group of mentors or people that we rely on, we discussed these issues and came up with these action points, and here's how we documented that. That's really important in the big picture, but most times it's overlooked because we don't have enough time, we don't have the resource, we don't think it's necessary, we think we've got the answers, when in actual fact, a suitor looking to buy your business is going to want to know that you've brought in smart people around that table to help you get to the next level faster and make sure you got there using the right tools and the right methods.
Troy, how important is it to surround yourself not with yes people, but with no people, or people that are willing to say, hey, you should
Meet Mary Bird Godwin, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey!
Tell me what I need to hear and not what I want to hear.
So you don't want me to say, yes, it's important.
You answered it. Done. Next question.
I love people. I love a challenge. And frankly, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
Yeah.
And so it's important for me to have good people on my advisory board that can challenge me on the direction I'm taking, the decisions I'm making, or even just the idea I've come up with. Because sometimes, in the middle of the night, you come up with some great, crazy idea to drive the business forward, and it sounds good at 3 a.m. after the second wine. But it doesn't sound
in our experience, when we're up at 3 a.m., everything sounds good at 3 a.m. If we're up that late. Hey, we talked about governance and financials and org chart. The one thing that we started scratching the surface on last week is a style guide and branding and marks and words. I mean, I know Mary has a ton to say about that, but is that really important when you're going to sell a business?
Yes.
Well, there's two views on it. The first view is if you're being rolled into a bigger company as part of an acquisition strategy, then your name and marks are likely to disappear anyway because you're being sucked into a bigger institution. So on that strategy, it's not so important. But if you are being aggregated with other businesses, or you're being purchased because of the brand value of your business, then you want to know that that brand's all buttoned up. So you've got trademarks, word marks, all registered, not just in the United States, but around the world. And some protocols are really easy to get a hold of to help you with that. The Madrid Protocol is one of them. It registers you in a number of countries around the world for not a lot of money, but it does protect you. Even if you don't think you're going to go there, then the next person that buys your business may have an idea to globalize your business. And if you're not prepared or protected for that, it kind of puts a handbrake on a lot of that stuff.
Troy Hazard, entrepreneur, keynote speaker, chairman, businessman, one of the greatest guys we always talk to here on the show, joining us on the BBS.
Hey, Troy, how important is it to have a strategic plan in place, like for 1, 2, 3 years, maybe even 10 years? You mentioned, if a company gets purchased and rolled into a bigger company, then maybe that strategic plan might go out the window anyway. But do you think it's still something you should have in place?
Well, the plan still carries because the momentum you've created in your business is still important. So your customer base, the way you deal with them, the way you engage them, how often you engage them, the unit economics of your business will still transfer into a bigger entity. And they want to know that's protected. And we call that quality of earnings. If you can't prove that your earnings will be there post-transaction, then they're going to have a bit of a wrestle with you on your price. And that's going to make it more challenging in due diligence. So it's very important that the unit economics is protected such that it will transfer into a bigger entity, or in fact, know that it's going to continue long after you've left the scene. And a lot of people overlook that. They think that, well, we've been growing year on year and it's great, but not all growth is good growth. Good growth comes from qualified growth to qualify those earnings and also give that suitor the confidence that you can do what you say you're doing and can continue doing that long after you've left the scene.
Hey, Troy Hazard, by the way, of course, author of Future Proofing Your Business. Real quickly, I got about 30 seconds here. Let's say you've got a great business, got everything in place, but you woke up drunk on your front yard one morning and the news is out there, or you stepped in it and smeared on the carpet as a business. What happens if there's a pass there, but everything looks good in the business, but maybe there's a hitch in the giddy up? How do you get through something like that in negotiation?
Are you asking for a friend, Sally?
No, I'm asking you for a reason, big fella.
Look, that's a bigger conversation. I'm not going to get to it in 3
All
seconds.
right, next time we get together. I want to know what happens, though, when you have a company that, Elon Musk would be a great example, where hey, thanks, Troy, I appreciate it. We'll see you next week, buddy. Troy Hazard, troyhazard.com. Naked entrepreneur and future-proofing your business. I want to know, is like Elon Musk has stepped in it a couple times.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Does it affect valuations going forward is what I want to know.
Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, our affiliates, and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any persons, or that investment in such securities would be profitable in general.
Given the nature of our company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for their securities, and investing is highly speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its host for the profile coverage.
3, 2, 1.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stock if we are speaking about, interviewing, or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully. Duh.
And read the investor information available on the website.
On the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, at www.sec.
Or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
The Loft 100 Studios, it is the Big Biz Show. Hope you guys are having a great day. Costa, Mary Godwin, Greg Todoroff, Sully, and of course, the greatest in the business, the DTT. That's the Day Trader Trio. Love you guys. 125 million TV homes strong every weeknight. Of course, we are also on American Forces Network in 175 countries and all the shits. We also thank the BizTV, American Life Network, and Bloomberg El Financiero. There's 15 million homes down in Mexico. Soon to be in Bloomberg EU, and they won't put us in Bloomberg US until late night. Baby steps. Baby steps. Why.
3 a.m.
What do you know about gold? I knew nothing about gold till I met David Garofalo. And look who's in studio today. David Garofalo, of course, the chairman and CEO of Gold Rodeo. So great to see you.
Good to see you.
You are as handsome as you are on television.
You're too kind.
I want you to talk about, before we get into Gold Royalty Corp. By the way, they are publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. GROY is their ticker symbol. GROY. So, with respect to, we're hearing Fed Chair Jerome Powell dropping half a percentage point, going from, I think, a 5.3 to a 4.7 or something like that in terms of short-term discount window rates. You're seeing, they're saying inflation's going down, but the CPI doesn't include food and gas. And if you merge that with the fact that gold is a great hedge against inflation, plus we have numbness to prices. They're saying inflation's going down, but prices are still high. Gold is the place to hide out, I'm assuming, still, in your opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a barometer, an agnostic, objective one of where real inflation is. The reason it's going up is because inflation is still going up. It's still sticky. They're pivoting on interest rates simply because they've got massive debt to deal with. It's not a Federal Reserve phenomenon. It's a global phenomenon across central banks globally. So they're going to lower interest rates to inflate that away. Gold prices will continue to go up as a result of that.
Every time we've pushed money flow into the system, going back to 1940, and in this case, we're talking about stimulus that we got during COVID. We probably got too many. But if you look at a point and figure chart where money flow pops into the market, interest rates follow literally right behind, and inflation as well. There are those that say gold is not a hedge against inflation, But also, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, although I have conspiracy theory music.
Oh, I like that.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, however, I
win.
You are old.
I win.
You are old.
You win gold.
I think that some of the stuff that we're hearing is manufactured for the election on both sides of the equation. And I think that's why you say they say inflation is going down, but it's not really going down.
No.
Is it without getting political? Is it of your opinion that there's always a grain or two of mistruth that comes out in some of these numbers that we're hearing every week?
Yeah, look, and I think it's really driven by the debt levels. I think there's no fiscally responsible way for any government to deal with these debt levels. And it doesn't matter who wins this election, the government's hooped either way. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have to continue to ease monetary policy. In other words, expand money supply in order to deal with debt.
On the big screen here, you're going to see usdebtclock.org, and you're talking about debt. It looks like a speedometer here. There it is right behind you, David. And you know, if you talk about debt per citizen, that means little babies and everybody. $104,000, 950%. Debt per taxpayer. And then, of course, we've got $35 trillion in U.S. national debt. Now, keep in mind, some of that's people buying U.S. savings bonds and so on and so forth. But you're talking about that kind of debt. But there's also the debt that people are carrying on their credit cards, which is at an all-time low during COVID, but now is somewhere else. Talk about the reason I like to start off with a top-down picture with you guys is because you guys are at the top of the food chain in terms of the gold business. And what I mean by that is you guys are basically a financial institution for the mining industry. Talk about what Gold Royalty does for the folks who haven't seen you on the air before.
Yeah, we are. We're a bank that's singularly focused on the precious metal universe, providing capital to the explorers, the developers, and operators to build, optimize, explore for mines in an industry that frankly doesn't have access to the capital markets right now and hasn't for a good part of a decade. And so it's been a nuclear winter for the explorers, and we're providing capital for them. And the industry needs us to do that because it's shrinking. Now, that's why we've seen so much M&A across the producer universe is if you're not finding it, you're going to have to buy it. You're going to have to consolidate with other companies. But that's a zero-sum game for the industry. Like, we need exploration success to replace depleting reserves.
David, you guys, at the same time we're talking about inflation, you guys provide insulation to investors.
Yeah.
From cost inflation. Yeah. Talk about that a bit.
Yeah, we're all top-line exposure. So when we put capital into an asset, mine, either a producing mine or a development stage mine, we take a royalty back in return, but the royalty's on gross revenues, top line. So it doesn't matter what happens to the operating or capital costs of the mine site. We give optimum leverage to the gold price without worrying about cost inflation. Very scalable business. We have a few of our employees here today. Half of our companies here today. It's a very small group of highly experienced professionals that are able to put capital to work with assets they understand.
David Garofalo, Chairman, CEO, Gold Royalty Corp.
Is he saying it wrong, Mike? Is it Garofalo?
It's Garofalo.
Is that what you're right?
I wanted to say Garofalo.
I know you did.
Or go Gar.
And you're going to say, David, you're saying your last name wrong.
Exactly.
I nailed you.
Their ticker symbol is GROY. We were talking about the geologics before the show. Have we even tapped into how much gold is on our Earth, in our Earth? Are we getting
Isn't it
there?
2 Olympic-sized swimming pools? Isn't that
I thought that was platinum. Or
no, it's gold. I mean, if you took all the gold mined, it's about 200,000 metric tons. It's been mined since the beginning of time. All of it is on the Earth's surface. It's around people's fingers and wrists and whatnot in central bank vaults.
Okay.
It's indestructible, so it's always been around, but it's a very minute quantity. Volumetrically, a couple Olympic-sized swimming pools, not a lot. So you can imagine even a small reallocation of capital in general equity markets would move the gold price astronomically higher.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got to ask you, as a top line, highest on the food chain in gold mining, in the gold mining business, how do rising gold prices even affect you? I mean, you are sort of like the laundromat, the liquor store during a recession. They're still going to make money either way. Aren't you making money either way, whether prices go up or down?
Yeah, absolutely, because we have a very low cost structure. Like I said, half of our companies here, so we have very low G&A costs. And so virtually all of the dollar in revenue falls right to the bottom line. So regardless of where the gold price is. So we have a remarkable, inelasticity of supply to price or cash flows to price. But we have a lot of leverage on the upside, and I think that's the important thing here.
David, you guys, we were talking about when we first started interviewing, breaking into free cash flow in 2024. Has that happened for you?
Yeah, it has. In fact, we had the first 2 quarters of positive operating cash flow earlier this year, and we're going into overdrive in the second half of the year with a couple of major new gold mines coming into production and resulting in significant revenue growth in the second half of the year. And we're looking at...
Wait. You're talking about sector-leading gold mines, too. We're not just talking about gold mines, correct?
Yeah, we have royalties on 3 of the 5 biggest producing gold mines in North America. And these each have 20 years plus of reserve life ahead of them. So we have that foundational element to our business, which is kind of unique for a small cap player in the space.
So in your mind, and we got just about 45 seconds left here, in your mind, what is next for you in the last quarter of 2024? In so much as you can tell us as a CEO, what are you looking forward to most for 2025 after that?
Yeah, we're looking at free cash flow growth, positive earnings growth, 60% compounded growth in revenue through the end of the decade, and all that incremental revenue falls right to the bottom line because our cost structure is flat.
Yeah, meaning that we're in the wrong business is what that is. David, thanks for coming in. It's great to see you come in anytime in the studio. We've been following the stock for a while here. David Garofalo, Chairman and CEO, Gold Royalty Corp. Stock symbol GROY. Does it make you? Do you wear gold, Mike, other than the Italian chain with the
horn?
Yeah.
No, that's it. That's the only gold I have.
The gold pinky ring?
Yeah.
I know a guy that knows a guy. Yeah. His name is Garofalo. Big Biz Show. See you in a minute.
You want I take him out? It is the Big Biz Show. We come to you live from the Loft 100 studios here in Southern California. So proud to do it. So glad you're along for the ride. I'm Costa. That's Mary Bert Godwin. Our executive producer, Greg Todorov. And the guy right there in the green, Sully.
I got a question for you guys. How much do you love the Day Trader Trio over there?
Big fan.
Good to see you guys.
Best in the business. TTT.
My faves.
Only 3 guys on that stage.
So good.
How long have I known you, James? What, 12 years now? 8 years? Seems like 10 minutes, buddy. Underwater.
Help.
Skaboom. How much do you trust ChatGPT?
Depends on
who I'm chatting with.
Well, so I read an article about myself in Investors Business Daily recently that said that Sully's happily married in Newport Beach with his 2 sons,
How they doing,
David and Griffin. Now, I'm sure there's a Sully in Newport Beach that's happily married with 2 sons.
Yep.
But also our television studio is based in Las Vegas, apparently.
Nice.
Ooh. Well, our import-export business is based in Las Vegas. But the
I don't
point is,
trust it,
it's about 80. I like how it can think. Now, Google searches are coming back with an AI.
I like that.
But there's still that gappy thing where they cross over. Like if you what's up in the road ahead, or what's up in the road ahead.
Right.
Yes. There's gaps, and you got to fill them in.
What about AI? What about are you worried about being RoboCopped like we talked about earlier?
For sure.
Are you really?
Well, I'm not necessarily worried about it.
Stick an ATM.
Yeah, I was going
I'm
to say.
just going to stick an ATM right there. Yep. I mean, honestly, how could you couldn't possibly be concerned about being losing your job to AI?
No, not me losing my job, but I'm concerned about it in the sense of what am I looking at is it real? When I see videos all the time online, I'm wondering,
well, let me tell you
is this real information? I think about it with this political landscape. I don't know on both sides. I think it's all doctored. I don't know what's
okay.
Well,
you interviewed Christian Kanstrup from the CEO of Evaxion.
Yes, I did.
Evaxion last week or week before. Stock ticker EVAX. And of course, you go to evactionbiotech.com. The thing about AI when it comes to biotechnology and biopharma is that it increases the velocity of getting results. They've got an AI-based immunology platform. What did you learn from that interview?
Oh, I was going to say,
by the way, say hi to Christian Kanstrup. He's right with us.
Welcome back.
Hey, Christian.
Welcome back. It doesn't just increase it, but it personalizes it. This is one thing I learned from talking to Christian is you can get these personalized treatments that, I have a good friend going through cancer right now, and it's such a crazy thing that's happening, and she needs personalized attention, and that's what this can provide for her.
Hey, Christian, talk about that. When we've been talking about you for a month or so here. You've got a lead vaccine candidate called EVX-01, which is in phase 2 development, and that really is the industry standard for personalized vaccine for saving lives. Talk about exactly how that started and where we're at with it and what it actually does and how that's going to affect us.
We'd be happy to, Solly, and great to see you guys again. I mean, this is a truly personalized vaccine candidate, which is in phase 2 in metastatic melanoma. That means if you are getting cancer, we will take a biopsy of that cancer, DNA sequence it, and use that, running it through our AI immunology platform to design a vaccine especially made for you. And I think one could not think of anything you rather wanted than having a vaccine candidate which you know is made especially for you and not one that is used across all patients. And that's, of course, only possible because we have the AI immunology platform, which, as you say, increases velocity and throughput, and we, with very high speed, can design a personalized cancer vaccine. Yeah. So getting a therapy which is designed especially for you.
Yeah, by the way, we're talking about metastatic melanoma, and when cancer metastasizes, that's when things start accelerating. I know that you guys have an R&D collaboration with Merck, and Merck is your largest shareholder. Talk to us about that and how it intersects with the AI technology and where that's going with Merck.
Yeah, no, it's actually going quite well with Merck. We just last week announced a significantly expanded vaccine development collaboration with Merck. We have been working with them since September 23 in designing one vaccine candidate within infectious diseases. And actually just on Thursday last week, we expanded that collaboration, adding a pipeline candidate we have within infectious diseases where Merck is taking responsibility for the further development and eventually commercialization of that, with both an upfront payment to us of $3 million or $3.2 million to be precise. We're getting up to additional $10 million next year and potential up to $592 million per candidate in development and sales milestones. So pretty significant expansion of the collaboration for us, and a very important milestone, not only for Evaxion, but of course also for patients, because now we have the world leader in vaccine development and commercialization taking the further responsibility for bringing these two vaccine candidates to the market. So very important milestone.
Christian Kanstrup, the CEO of Evaxion, their ticker symbol is EVAX. Christian, you talk about velocity from the time someone's diagnosed to using the AI, what you guys are doing. How short is that time period now?
For the cancer patients, we have been able to consistently, from the biopsy is taken to the vaccine candidate is administered, do that within 7 weeks. And wow. That's in a clinical trial setting that could be even further optimized when the candidate comes to the market. And of course, again here, speed is of essence in cancer therapy, but being able to design a truly personalized vaccine candidate in only 7 weeks, that's quite unique.
It's amazing.
Yes. Hey, Christian, you have held senior management positions at Novo Nordisk. I think you were there for 20 years. I got to ask you, how has biopharma changed in terms of R&D and success since you first started here? Is it the same sort of business, or has AI and internet and everything else changed it dramatically, or is it still meat and potatoes where you just got to do the research, you got to do the tests, you got to do the experiments, and then you get an outcome? Has that changed it at all without the presence of AI?
Well, it's definitely changing with AI. I mean, if we leave AI aside, you can say the cost of getting new therapies to the market have only been increasing. The likelihood of getting new therapies to the market have been decreasing. And then back to your question before, whether you trust AI, I would turn it around and say, would you trust not using AI in drug development? Right? Because we simply need to apply AI in drug development, and that's exactly what we have set out to do.
Christian Kanstrup, the CEO of Evaxion, ticker symbol EVAX. Christian, always great to talk with you.
Bud.
We are smarter after we always talk with you. Thank you.
I feel better about it. A lot of times talking to biopharma companies, I feel worse.
Yeah.
I feel better about him.
Feel better about him.
Yeah,
that's going to do it for us from here from the Loft 100 studios. For everybody who makes this show possible and the DTT, thank you. We're going to see you next time.